Imagine standing in an empty theater at midnight, only to realize the seats aren't empty at all. Shadows sitting silently, watching, waiting. That's what I saw the night I was cleaning alone, and I wish I had never looked up. Before I tell you what happened, I'd like to ask a small favor. If you enjoy chilling stories that linger long after they're over, please subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss the next one. Your support helps me keep sharing darker and darker tales. Now, let's begin. For nearly 2 years, I worked nights at Riverside Performing Arts Center, a crumbling old building tied to the local college. It had marble floors cracked from age, stairwells that smelled like wet stone, and a massive theater that could seat almost 2,000 people. During the day, it carried a strange kind of faded glory. But at night, it was something else entirely. Most nights, I'd clean classrooms, restrooms, offices. Easy work. Quiet. But the theater, I always saved that for last. I hated walking in there after dark. Even when the stage lights burned bright, shadows pooled in the corners like oil, refusing to move. Every sound, the scuff of a broom, the squeak of my shoes, echoed back distorted, stretched, like the building itself was listening. That night, I had no choice but to start earlier. A student production was opening the next morning, which meant I had to clean the whole theater, stage, aisles, balconies, backstage corridors. Everything. I told myself it was just another job, but the moment the side door clanged shut behind me, the air felt wrong. Heavier. As if I had stepped into a place I wasn't supposed to be. I pushed my cart down the center aisle, the wheels rattling against loose bolts in the floor. As I swept between rows of seats, I tried to focus on the rhythm of the broom. Scrape, push, scrape. Normal sounds. But then came another sound. Something faint. A rustle. I froze. The stage curtains hung still, heavy and black. Props leaned motionless against the wings. No wind. No open doors. And yet, something had shifted. I told myself it was nothing. Rats maybe. But then the footsteps began. Slow. Heavy. Each one cracking across the empty stage. I stopped breathing. The beam of my flashlight wobbled as I raised it toward the platform, but the stage looked empty. My heart slammed in my chest. Against every instinct screaming at me to leave, I climbed the stairs to the stage. I swept my light behind the curtains, across ropes and pulleys, over dust-covered furniture. Nothing. Only dust swirling in the air, moving as if disturbed by something unseen. I whispered aloud, building settling. My voice cracked in the stillness, and the silence that followed sounded like the theater was mocking me. I hurried back to the aisles, pushing the broom faster now. That's when I saw it. High in the second balcony, a figure sat in the shadows. Still. Watching. My light snapped upward, and the seat was empty. I told myself it was a trick of the light. But I felt it. The weight of unseen eyes drilling into me. Minutes later, as I dragged the mop across the marble, I heard it. Not footsteps this time. A whisper. Soft. Crooked. My name. The mop clattered to the ground. Hello? My voice cracked again, too weak, too uncertain. The theater threw it back at me, distorted, as if something else had repeated it in a deeper tone. The whisper came again, closer now, curling down from the balcony like smoke. I didn't run. I don't know why. Maybe I thought if I ignored it, it would stop. Maybe I was too scared to admit something was actually happening. I finished the floor in a panic and forced myself up onto the stage. But every time my light swept across the darkness, I caught movement at the edge of vision. Curtains shuddering. Shadows bending in the wrong direction. Then came the voice again. Clear this time. Right behind me. It whispered my name with such precision, I felt the warmth of breath against my ear. I spun around, nothing. Only empty space. But the seats, they were full. For the briefest moment, every single one of those red velvet chairs seemed occupied by shifting black outlines. Smoky silhouettes. A silent audience staring straight at me. I blinked and they were gone. But the whispers weren't. They multiplied. Dozens of voices overlapping, weaving into a chorus of madness. I couldn't understand most of it, except for one phrase that hissed over and over. He never left. Cold sweat drenched my back. I stumbled toward the door, every step heavier than the last. The theater had grown colder, so cold I could see my own breath in the beam of my light. And then the footsteps began again. Not one pair. Not two. 100. Stomping across all 3 balconies at once, pacing, circling, moving in jagged rhythm. I ran. My hand fumbled with the handle, the old metal slick with sweat. Just before I ripped the door open, I made the mistake of turning around. He was standing at the center of the stage. A tall man in a dated black suit, head tilted slightly, watching me. His face was lost in shadow, but I knew he was smiling. Slowly, he raised one hand, like a conductor ready to begin. And then he was gone. Only empty curtains swayed behind him. I bolted outside. The night air hit me like a wave, but even as the door clanged shut, the whispers seemed to cling to me, muffled but still there. The next morning, I told another custodian. He chuckled nervously and said, "You saw Alden, didn't you? He was the drama director here back in the 60s. Died on stage during rehearsal. People say he still likes to check in on performances." I wanted to laugh it off. A ghost story. An urban legend. But the way that voice curled around my name, that wasn't some rumor. That was real. I quit the job a month later. But even now, whenever I pass by Riverside at night, I swear I can still hear it, faint whispers slithering out through the bricks, bleeding into the street. And sometimes, it isn't faint at all. Sometimes it feels like it's whispering inside my head. So maybe Alden never stayed in that theater. Maybe he followed me out. And if he did, maybe he's whispering your name tonight.